Hi everyone, it's the Book Cougars, two middle-aged women on the hunt for a good read. I'm Emily.
And I'm Chris.
It's
Friday!
Woohoo!
So you did this and I did that. How weird.
Rock, paper, scissors.
I never figured that out until like last year.
You mean how to win?
Yeah, not how what it was really.
Oh.
Like we never did that. Well,
Did you guys do rock, paper, scissors?
I don't know. It wasn't the thing when I was in my hood anyway.
Oh, really? Older siblings. That's what got me, because they could always get me. They never won. I think they would do a delay, you know? I'd be so enthusiastic, like, scissors! They'd be like, rock! Anyway, airing our dirty laundry.
Totally. Well, we're here to share our Friday reads with you. You want to go first?
Sure, this one might look familiar to people. I went ahead and started the reading list by Sara, Nisha Adams 2 nights ago. I already am in love with Widower Mukesh. Mukesh, I think is how you say his name. So this is our second quarter read-along book for our year of reading books about books.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And we would love for you to read along. We have a link on our
I have the
Goodreads
ice machine
page. Coming.
That's the ice machine.
Sorry.
We're in Emily's house, and this is real life.
Yeah, real life.
Yeah.
Ice machine background. We're obviously sitting next to the refrigerator because I live in a tiny house. Where was I? Oh, there's a Goodreads thread on our Goodreads group page. So please join us there. And we'll be talking about it on
Next Sunday.
Yeah, but so we won't be talking about it for a couple more episodes.
Yeah.
But yes, we will be Zoom talking next Sunday.
Yes, and talking with the author, too. We're going to have her on. So if you've read it and you have questions for her that you'd like to have us ask her, please send them to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Such a cute cover. So many books mentioned already. I'm on page 18, and I think there's been like 15 books mentioned already. Wow. So it could also build your reading list.
Yes, yeah. Cool. I look forward to starting that. I'm planning to start it on Monday.
Right on.
So I'm currently reading this nonfiction. It's a memoir by Sylvia Beach about her time opening and operating Shakespeare and Company, her famous bookstore in Paris. And I'm really enjoying it. I am on page 48 at this point. She just met James Joyce at a party. And apparently, you know, he was kind of like the older established writer who everyone really looked up to at that time. Because she started her shop in 1920.
Do you know how old she was?
1920. You know what? I don't know how old she was. That is a good question. I should know the answer to that because I did read a book about her, but I am not sure.
Yeah, I didn't mean to call you out. I was just wondering when you said that they looked up to him as like the older author, you know, how much she was looking up to him.
She might have been like in her, I would say her late 20s, early 30s is my guess, but maybe we'll put it down below what her dates were. So I'm enjoying it very much, you know, because it's chatty, it's name droppy because, you know, all of the expats were there. And I really enjoy that she talks about her partner, Adrienne Monnier. Is that how you pronounce that? I'm not sure. I've never heard it pronounced. But she had her own bookstore, too. She's French and had a French bookstore. And she was enraptured with American writers. Like, she loved Ben Franklin. But at that time, when they first met, Moby Dick hadn't been translated into French yet. And so, you know, I just love that kind of stuff. To try and imagine a time when what people knew of literature from different countries was very different from what it is now.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So, Shakespeare and Company by Sylvia Beach. Enjoying it very much.
And Chris mentioned that bookstore on the podcast a couple episodes ago, and we had a listener that happened to be traveling and had just gone there. So if you've ever been there, let us know in the comments. It's definitely one that I aspire to go into.
Well, and that's not her store anymore. Like, she closed her store during World War II. The story is that a German officer came and wanted to buy a book in the window, and she refused. And then she took all of her books and moved them upstairs into the apartment. And she did spend time in a camp. And so after the war, after she got back to Paris, she never reopened it. So the one that exists now was opened by a man, oh my gosh, maybe in the 50s, 60s, and now it's his daughter, who is named Sylvia, who's running it. So, yeah. Interesting, right?
You are a font of knowledge.
Well, this has been, kind of tangential to my research this semester.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
This is a show and tell book that I talked about on episode 181 that just dropped on Tuesday. It's called Reaching Inside, 50 Acclaimed Authors on 100 Unforgettable Short Stories. This was edited by Andre Dubus III, and I heard him with other authors on a panel talking about it at the Newburyport Literary Festival a couple weeks ago, and right away requested it from the library, and I just picked it up last night. So what this is he queried a group of his author friends about writing an essay, choosing 2 of their favorite short stories. And I said that backwards. He asked them each to choose 2 short stories and then write an essay about it. So here's an example of Richard Rousseau chose The Lottery by Shirley Jackson, and then Builders by Richard Yates. And some of them, as you can see, like this is a really short essay. Some of them are longer. One of the really cool things about the book, too, is then in the back, each of the contributors offered a writing prompt to writers to use for their own inspiration, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the short stories in it. It would be a tome if it did. Yeah. But as Andre Dubus said in the panel, once you read these essays, you're going to want to just, read an essay, put the book down, go find the short stories, move to the next essay.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to digging deeper. So far, I've read his introduction and then some of those writing prompts. And then in the back, he did a really nice write-ups on each of the authors themselves that participated.
That's awesome. That's the one in the last episode, I think episode 181, you told the story too about he reached out to Joyce Carol Oates. Right. You want to tell that story again here for listeners who may not have heard that?
So what he did was he got the idea for this book, got the okay from Godine, who is the publisher, and he reached out via email to these authors. And Joyce Carol Oates, who is an incredibly prolific author, he said, emailed him back right away, said, what did she ask him?
Just some parameters about the story.
Yeah, like some questions about, does it need to be this? Does it need to be that? He gave her the answers, and he said within 37 minutes, minutes, which you can timestamp based on emails. He's not exaggerating. She had the 2 stories, a perfect essay. He said that they did not, zero editing to the essay.
It's amazing.
Whereas other authors, he had given them a deadline and he's email knocking, still waiting. So
it's amazing.
Yeah. And the one, I didn't read it, but the 2 that she chose were Battle Royal by Ralph Ellison and A&P by John Updike. And apparently it's a little bit of, she's looking at semantics, how they chose to use the tenses they used and stuff like that. So these are the ones she...
Well, she is a litliterature teacher and a writing teacher, so she probably... I mean, I'm not taking anything away from the woman. She's incredible, but she probably is in touch with stories in a different way.
Yeah, she has access. I mean, and if nothing else, to what she would want to write about. About when we were talking about this on the episode, we were saying it would take us 2 months to read every short story. We'd go deep. Yeah. Which isn't to say she's been going deep for years, so she probably knew exactly what she wanted to write about.
Right. Yeah. Well, the next book I'm going to talk about, I am getting back into this, Cat Brushing by Jane Campbell. Wow. Have you guys heard of this? Because if you haven't, you should run to your local bookstore and get a copy. The first story is the only one I've read so far, and it blew my mind. It was amazing. It's so wonderfully written. I felt like I was there. I felt like I was really there with this character. So this is a collection of short stories, and Jane Campbell is 80 years old, and this is her debut. It came out just last year.
It's amazing.
And what ties the stories together is that they're each about a different older woman and her sexuality, things she's missed in life, sensuality, the restrictions that are placed on women and older people. But this first story, wow. So I read it a couple weeks ago, and like I said, it blew me away. I put it down, and I thought, I'm going to save this until I'm done with the semester and then get into it then. So I found this. It was on display, or it was a face out, I think, at RJ Julia in Madison. I had a gift card that was burning a hole in my pocket. And so I had a book in mind that I was going to get, and then I thought, I want to look for something I haven't heard of. And, that's kind of hard to do when you're subscribed to all the publishers and you're on social media. You see everything. But this is one I hadn't heard of. And I'm so happy I picked it up.
And look how sexy the cover is.
Isn't that sexy? Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally yummy.
Yep.
And so the author, a little bit more about her. She grew up in Zambia and Cape Town and studied English language and literature in Oxford. And she worked as a group analyst. So that was her profession.
Yeah.
And now she is writing fiction. Amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So
we want to know what you're reading
always.
This weekend.
We're nosy that way.
Tell us in the comments.
Yeah, and thanks for watching. And, subscribe, and you can hit that little bell to get notifications whenever we post something new.
Yeah.
Happy
Happy
reading.
reading.